Good morning everyone, welcome to my channel. So today's video is just a little intermediate slide-in video because I mentioned in a couple videos ago that I need to make my friend Marianne an orts bowl. She's a crocheter, and I noticed when we were sitting and crafting and stitching and crocheting that her little threads were just going on her coffee table. Now, just a bit of backstory. They've built a house, her and her husband, near us, and are moving in later in the year. And in the meantime, they've got the bare basics there. And are just coming up every so often to, connect the internet and get some furniture delivered and, all of those utilitarian tasks. So when we can, we sneak a quick stitching day. And I noticed that she has a little thread pile. So I thought we could make a little orts jar. So that's what this video is. The other reason I'm quickly doing this is it's Easter for me. So I'm not sure when you're watching this video. It might be in a week or so's time. Hey, Fudgy. And my brother's been over visiting for a few days, and today we're taking him back to the farm. So I've got a road trip sitting in the car. So I thought, I said to my brother, we've just made a toasted sandwich. I might quickly put together a project that I can stitch in the car as we drive. So this is what has happened. So I've literally grabbed some wadding, our cereal bowl, cut it out, because I don't want the bowl to be too big for Marianne, and as in size, like this would be too big. So what I'm thinking is I can cut it down to this sort of depth, but we pull the sides in so it's not as splayed out, because I don't want to take up too much room on her desk. So I just, at the moment, still using my leftover batting. I do have blankets that I'm, going to move on to for future projects, but I've still got these scrappy bits. So I've cut myself out this little guy. So I'm thinking I might make it a 5 centimetre. I don't want to be too steep, because remember when I made this back in useful items, I didn't give myself much of a base, and it sits just. It's got a splayed out flatter top with it sort of is getting better. I was complaining in a previous video that it didn't sit properly, but I've been sort of manipulating it a little bit, and it's actually sitting a little bit better. I was gonna unpick this and start again, but as you can imagine, we put so much stitching into things that would be a major task. But the more I fiddle with it, hey Fudgy, the more I fiddle with it, the better it sits. So I sort of stopped worrying about it. Some of you girls suggested that I put a new circular base on it that got rid of this lumpy bumpy effect here, and I think that actually would help. It's probably all of this excess that's making that little bowl not be stable. So anyway, long story short, see, that's similar to that. We need this to be more like this. Now this little bowl, there's a video I did, oh gosh, ages ago, crocheting flowers. Now what inspired me was Kate from Kate in the Nest uses lots of elements like this to embellish. And I remember making a scarf for my mum using this pattern where I linked them all together to make a scarf. So I just downsized my hook and my thread, and I made a little bowl of, bits to add to elements, and then this little crochet bowl. Oh, I can hear Siri yapping in the background. So I did think maybe, being that Marianne's a crocheting girl, there might be a flower in here. Oh, that was gifted to me by the lovely Diane. I thought there might be a flower in here that suits her colour scheme of her home. And there's not, except just a neutral. So we'll keep him out. I'll link this video below. So if you did want to have a go at making, the little bowl and some little elements, these little guys here, I went that step further and I put beads on the edges. You see that? I put some little beads around the edge of the flower just to embellish it a little bit further and to remind me that, you know, if these end up on a future project, to do that. So we'll hang on to him because he's got potential. She's decorating her house in neutrals, so soft creams, white, and she's picking up, I think, on this, how do I describe the colour? I've got my scrap bucket here. It's not quite that colour, but it's not that colour. It's a turquoise, but it's a hard colour. And that's the trick we're having when we're going around looking for, you know, bits and pieces to decorate the house in the way of soft furnishings, pillows, cushions, things like that. We're actually finding it hard to, you know, find things in those colours. So let's just stop yapping. I might just cut it at 4. I know I was going to do it a little bit bigger. So the circumference, no, the diameter of my little bowl is 6 inches. So we'll snip the sides. Now I've got 2 pieces of cloth here, of wadding, which is either 2 bowls or I use both and make it really feel quite chunky. Yet to decide. I do want it to feel thick. You know, this feels thick and luscious. I'm making a funny noise. Can you hear that? I've got beads on my top and they're rubbing against my tabletop. Let me just rejig things here a bit. Okay, for those who listen to the video with earplugs, that scratchy sound might actually be quite obnoxious in your ears, so I do apologise. Look, I'm sick of measuring already. I'm thinking by having more cuts than normal should allow me to get my sides straighter. Yeah, it will. And I'm thinking I only need 1 of those. I thought while I'm making a bowl, I might just prep a couple others because you just never know when, you know, you can use it as a little birthday gift or something. So I'm just going to do this one as well. So how are you all? You're good, Fudge. So I asked Fudge how he was and he answered. He's a very smart cat. He likes to think so. He was a bit naughty this morning. My brother and I made a toasted sandwich for breakfast and Gaz is still in bed asleep. He's had a late night, I think, watching YouTube pinball people. Because most of them are in America, the time zone means that his YouTube people, his tribe, are, you know, in the States. Gee, they're wonky, some of those cuts. So he often has a bit of a late night, which is good. Gives me a few hours to stitch in the morning before our day begins. And my brother's an early bird, being a farmer. So we made a toasted sandwich and we were sitting there yapping. Yeah, that's good. I'll just do a slight, let's pin it. Yeah, I think this will be thick enough. I'll probably put some hemps and things like that on the bowl just to make it feel, you know, a little bit more thicker. I've lost my train of thought. I've got no idea what I was saying. My brother's sitting in the next room listening quietly. Hey, Mark, how are you?
Howdy.
Howdy. So, yeah, trip back to the farm to drop him home, having spent some time together at Easter. So we've got a few little chores we want to do at the farm. One thing is check the firewood. Now, we don't have a fireplace in the house. Mum and Dad's house was very insulated. It's made of that Hebel block, so winter is really not much of an issue. But outside it gets very cold. And coming up at the end of May is the Pumpkin Festival, the Gameri Pumpkin Festival. And Gaz's brother has called up and said, what's the chances of pitching a tent and spending the weekend on the farm with a mate of his? And I think the mate's girlfriend's coming along, so there'll be 3 of them. Knowing Dean, there'll probably be a couple more, and camping at the farm. That's pretty good. I do think that side needs to come up a little bit. See how it's deep? I want it deep, but not splayed out. And I guess at this stage of construction is where you make sure that it's going to be exactly, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, so happy with that. I'll put them in my snail tray and I can stitch them up, pin them up. I'll put that in there as well. So I've got some pins. Might just quickly stitch this down. So yeah, one thing we do need to do is go across the creek. See, near our house is a beautiful big deep creek that we have to drive down through to get up the bank to the other side where Dad had his actual farm and the sheds there and, all of our farm gear. So, that needle is blunt. For goodness sakes, I'm not using ribbon, so we do not need a crewel needle. We need an embroidery needle with a nice sharp point. So we need to check the firewood. Now, Mark says that there's a nice big pile of timber that's been there for quite some time, so it'll be really dry and seasoned. So we want to, so we don't forget, when we get to the farm, see, that's not even going in easily. My good needles must be over near the couch because I was stitching the other night and I think they're sitting there. But anyway, this will get us going. So we want to cross the creek and suss out the pile of timber. Send a photo through to Gaz's brother just to reassure him that he doesn't need to, buy timber or, but he may need to bring his chainsaw because there'll be parts of old gum trees, that have just been pushed up in a big pile. So there should be plenty of timber. Mark's picked out a couple spots that would be good for him. And they're not far from the big shed, so they can get water, they can get power. So they'd just have to pop back to the farmhouse if they want to, use the bathroom. I don't think they'll set up their own shower. It's going to be freezing cold. Gameri gets cold in winter, and the Pumpkin Festival at the end of May, well, that's, June's the start of winter, so you can imagine it is starting to cool off. So my guess is the campers will come across to the farmhouse and have a hot shower at Mark's and Gaz has decided he's going to jump in the car and spend the night there, but he's not going to camp. He's going to stay in the spare room with Mark. He's not going to freeze his tush off out in the paddock. So yeah, that's the story. We need to reconnaissance some firewood for the campers for the Great Gameri Pumpkin Festival. It's the highlight of the area. For the first year in a long, long time, my father is not supplying the pumpkins. They have to find a new supplier. There are other farmers in the district. I saw a post pop up on the Gameri Facebook site and it says, is there anyone in the district that can supply pumpkins to a campsite that's on the outskirts of town that fills up with people and for that big weekend. And they also have little mini events for kids to do. Like they roll the pumpkin and they make pumpkin scones. I think they have a pumpkin soup cooking competition. So everyone in the caravans camping for that long weekend make, pumpkin soup and then it's judged. So they are on the hunt for 100 plus, 200 plus pumpkins that Dad used to supply. And I saw that Facebook post pop up and I was like, Dad's pumpkins aren't going to be there. But there were a couple other local farmers that had a paddock of pumpkins that they were happy to, put towards the cause. So yeah, end of an era, as they say. But it's a great event. Anyone in southeast Queensland, if you haven't been to the Gameri Pumpkin Festival, every year, last Sunday in May, go for a drive. If you've got the ability to camp, across the road from our farm is the Gameri Showgrounds. So that's full of campers. And then the cricket oval, closer to town, they open that up to campers. So there is thousands of caravans that descend on the town. So it's quite a big weekend. And then the town closes down for a street parade, heaps and heaps of stalls, food trucks. And then I think it's about 1 o'clock, the pumpkins by the thousands. You register your pumpkin, and if you're the winning pumpkin, you roll it down the hill, Policeman Hill. It's a nice steep hill. They all line them up like in rows of about 10, 15, and row after row step forward with their little pumpkins and they roll them down Policeman Hill. And if your pumpkin lands on the lucky spot, you win prizes. I think if it goes the furthest distance, I don't know, there's like all sorts of prizes. They mix it up every year. So the kids get up there with their pumpkins and down the hill they go. And then it's all over pretty much. By 2 o'clock, it's all over. And everyone piles back onto coaches and into cars and heads off. So it sort of kicks off about 7 in the morning, 8. If you stay the weekend, there's a few additional events. They have a night market the one night. I'm not going to say what nights because I don't remember the exact itinerary, so I'd hate to tell you it's a Friday night and it's a Saturday night for those who go, you know what, let's go to Gameri for the weekend. They do a night market. They do a ballroom dance evening in the local hall if you want to do a bit of ballroom dancing, which is a lot of fun. My mum used to run a prayer breakfast at the Bowls Club and they'd put on a savoury mince roll and a local chaplain, sort of from any denomination, would come along and do a prayer, and it's just a meet and greet, and you can get a breakfast there, and the money raised went towards the Gideons, I think. Or maybe the chaplain that comes along. There's often school chaplains come along, and a a lot of the caravanners would roll out of their caravans or their tents and come across and get themselves a nice hot savoury mince breakfast. So I'm not sure if they're doing that anymore, but yeah, and of course that was definitely Sunday morning, the morning of the festival. So it's a great weekend. So yeah, if you're looking for an adventure, for those for accommodation, a lot stay out at this massive dam halfway between Gameri and Mergen called the Pajelki Peterson Dam. He was once a premier in Queensland, and the big dam's named after him, and that is full of people camping too. And then surrounding the little town is lots of those bush camps. They're sort of popping up everywhere in Australia now, where farmers can dedicate a few paddocks to accommodating, you know, caravanners and the like. I'm just going to redo that one. I sort of felt like I lost my shape of my bowl there. Oh, I just jabbed myself. So it doesn't take long to get your sides. Now, I know you've all seen fabric bowls by the hundreds, but I need to make one for a mate. So I thought, what the hang? We're waiting for Gaz to get out of bed. We've got a delivery of frozen meals because my brother's a bachelor, and just to make it a bit easier, we get in some frozen meals, and they don't deliver out to Gameri because it's just way too far. It's 3 hours west of the coastline. So, well, not technically, no, you go to Gympie and then go 2 hours west. So it's 3 hours from Brisbane is what I meant to say. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think that'll work. All right, we're ready to proceed to the next adventure. So we're waiting on that delivery, they come to me, and like that. That's a good piece and a big piece. Let's just take advantage of those stripes. Once that delivery arrives, it's all packed in, you know, like a frozen esky. So we will chuck that in the car and head off for the drive. Hence why I thought I might have a little moment to make this video, because I don't think they're due till about 11 o'clock. So yeah, I've got a little bit of Rachel's fabric here. Technically that's not the blue. Oh, there goes my alarm. I'll tell you why I've got an alarm set in a moment. I might pause the video. I just need to do something and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. Now, what was I saying? Oh, the alarm. Why did the alarm go off? Well, guys, like every Easter holiday, public holiday, there has to be a drama. And there is. So what's happened? I'm just looking for a better needle. Something with a sharp point, but it's not a crowbar, basically. And everything feels like a crowbar. Where's all my little needles? Here, hang on, let's... My goodness. Why have I got big needles everywhere? Let's have a look in the needle book. While I find a needle, I'll tell you what's happened, why I have this alarm set. So basically, like I said, it's still Easter for me, and this will do. I woke up, I don't know what night it was, Sunday, Easter Sunday. So today is Tuesday. So I think it was Sunday night. I go to bed, that's what it was. I go to bed and I just happened to rub my eye and they felt sore, well, the one in particular. But I had been quilting all day, hand quilting, and I'd put in a big day of it because we were watching movies, the brother and Gaz and I were watching movies, and I quilted and quilted and quilted. I thought, you know, maybe I've just got a sore eye strain. and I touched the side of my eye, and oh my goodness, it was tender. It really felt tender. And I looked in the mirror, and my eye, the white of my eye, was a pale pink, and not red as if I'd busted a blood vessel, because I did that once before. I rubbed my eyes and suddenly I had a bleeding blood vessel. That was scary too. No, it was just pink, pale pink, and felt puffy. So straight on to Google. Actually, no, I didn't at that stage. I was like, oh, that's a bit odd. Feels odd. Feels, puffy. And just readjusting my pins. Went to bed. Announced that I felt like there was something wrong with my eye. But went to bed. And about 2 a.m. in the morning, I woke up and my cheek was all wet, and I felt like my eye was watering profusely. I'm thinking, what's going on? And I'd recalled then that I'd had noticed that there was potentially something a bit off. So I put the light on, went to the bathroom, had a look at my eye, and of course there is literally water pouring out of my eye. And so I'm lying in bed at 3 in the morning thinking, what is wrong now? So I'm Googling and looking at the pale pinkness of my eye. It seemed to match the symptoms of conjunctivitis, which, I had a lot as a kid on a farm, as you can imagine, but I haven't had it for, since I left the farm. Pink eye is another name of it, and I remember Gaz getting it when he was in a pinball tournament, touching the flipper buttons all weekend. And now he even sanitised, because you can just see that, everyone touching the same buttons. And when you're in a competition, they're just rolling the people through that are competing. And so I thought, you know what, that's what I've got. And it does pass, but it can be a bit funny. So the next thing is Easter Monday. Everything's closed. Do you think I could get a doctor? Do you think I could even find a chemist? They were all closing fairly early. So I ended up jumping on telehealth. It's a thing that was created when COVID hit. I'm just watching Gaz's up now, and he and my brother have just gone outside, just seeing what they're up to, being nosy. So telehealth was created so that you could connect with doctors to get scripts and just a general chit-chat. So nothing serious really could be discussed with a doctor, because you're not face-to-face, of course. So I thought, I'll give it a go. So I got on, registered for telehealth, worked a treat. Doctor was to call me within 2 hours, which he did. Told him my symptoms. He agreed. Sounds like just a case of conjunctivitis. Don't know how I got it. I just got no idea. I'm usually pretty good washing the hands. But anyway, I've picked up a little germ. So he's written me a script. We then jumped in the car. So this is Monday afternoon. And there was one chemist open in Hervey Bay. And got our script. So this little eye drop, hence the alarm, is I need to put it in my eye every 2 hours for the first few days. And the doctor said it should be gone within 7, maybe sooner. Well, so last night, I think I put one, the first drop was in at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So 3, 5, 7 and 9. And I tell you, by 8 o'clock last night, my eye felt a million times better. I could no longer feel that it was swollen. And the only way I knew it was sore when I didn't touch it was I'd move my eyes rapidly from side to side. And you could just feel the movement was surrounded by swollen eye socket. That's gone. Within hours, that was gone. So this morning, Tuesday morning, making this video for you guys, I've woken up and it looks $1,000,000. Like, it's a miracle. So feeling a lot better. I was so going to leave it until, return my brother home to Gameri today. Wednesday, potentially get an appointment. Surely it won't get too bad. I've had it as a kid. I've usually just, you just walk it off. But getting the medication has just sped up recovery so quick. It's really good. It's funny because we're coming back from Hervey Bay. I just got the script and I got a message from Dawn. Now, Dawn has the channel by her name, Dawn Meldrum, and she must have had some stitching to do or felt like some stitching. So she sent me a message and say, you up for a chat, a sit and stitch? And I said, oh, no, because I've got pink eye. Her reply was, good gracious, what now? And I said, no, I'm all good. I've got my medicine and I'm on my way back out of town with the lads, and we're going to pull into a fish and chip shop and get, the boys felt like fish and chips for dinner, and I thought, I'll have a fish burger. And I said to Dawn in our texting, a fish burger will make my eye feel so much better because I believe that I'm too poorly to cook dinner for the night. So that was our Easter Monday adventure. Finding chemists and doctors. Like I tell you, why can't it happen on a normal day? If it's going to happen. I was watching Karen's video. I've missed a lot of videos being away for a little while, so I've been catching up. So I was working through Railway Cottage Studio, Karen. I was working through her videos, and she was reminiscing of a tooth that she cracked over Christmas. And of course, you just can't get that medical attention, and dentists are even harder to track down. And I thought, that was me with my pink eye. Nothing major, but at least I was able to get on top of it. So now I have an alarm set on my phone that buzzes every 2 hours, hence why I had to pause the video and attend to my eye. That's all come undone. Gee, I stitched that well. Does not matter because as I build up my fabric layers, as you know, because I'm sure you've all made one of these, it will work. I might put a pop of this. So what are we going to do? A bit of a gold thing? A bit of a blue thing. I'm thinking a blue thing. Let's just cut this little morsel out. And where was it loose? It's all a bit loose. Pop you there. So I've stitched that big piece on, but what I might do is just pin a few bits and bobs on, and that way I can then, because I have a feeling that delivery of food, yeah, some of this linen is lovely. This is from doilies, printed doilies that aren't stitched. A bit of that would be nice just to push over there. That's sort of the colour tone, maybe a little bit sandier that she wants to put through a house. That's definitely the colour tone. So yeah, we spent the day Saturday in Hervey Bay looking for a table. She's got chairs, but she needs a kitchen table. So we had a bit of a look around all the shops. It was a great day. Didn't find anything, but she's in no hurry. They're officially moving in September, so we've got plenty of time for gallivanting and planning. We found a beautiful piece of artwork that she can put over a bed, behind the bed in the spare room. And the colours were beautiful. So yeah, we just had a lovely day scooting around. I want to put lace and things on, but I think I'm jumping the gun a bit and probably need to keep going with the layers. Let's get a pop more colour. I think I want this bit. Yeah, I like that. I like that. So yeah, that's my adventures over Easter. Like I said, who knows when you're watching this video. I'll slide it in somewhere. Trying to make the most of my time. And a little Orts bowl for Marianne, and potentially a couple spare for the Christmas cabinet or the birthday cabinet. These little bowls are great for making as little gifts for people. I can't remember who I was chatting to, that it's good when we can stitch things that are handy. You know, pieces that go into the cupboard not to be touched again is all well and all good. But it's great when we come up with ways of stitching something that, you know, is useful. And these little bowls are great little presents. I know my cousin, her daughter is learning to stitch. A little bowl for her would be, you know, a good little, oh, is that sweet or what? Stripes maketh the piece. Stripes and spots. I wonder if I can find a pop of colour in this basket that reminds me of what we were looking at colour-wise. That's okay, but there's definitely no red in her house. Another stripe. I might keep that out for the bottom. A sandy colour. See, sandy tones look good with blue. Just to lift it a little bit, might pull that out. That's probably closer, is it? No, it's like a jade, but a dirty jade colour. It's sort of, don't know, maybe I haven't got anything. See, that's beautiful. I might just put that in the tray for another bowl. Maybe that. It's not quite right. It's a real unusual colour, and I said to her, you would have to have picked a colour that is a little bit left of field, because when we were walking through shops like Pillow Talk and places like that, it was a little bit there, but not a lot. Here, look, I've just spotted something. I've still got the fabrics that I bought in LA. See that tone there? That's it. It's a, see, that looks green. It's not green, it's a turquoisey colour. Anyway, let it go. Let it go. The other thing I was going to try is, a few videos back, my mate Christina put a handle on her bowl, which I thought was very clever. She posted some pictures on the Roxy Journal of Stitchery Facebook page as well. You might have to scroll down a little bit. I thought that was a lovely idea and a different take on it. So I'm thinking I might make a little handle, so when you pick up your little bowl, you've got a little handle to pick it up. I could raise a bit of fabric out. Oh, I know. Why don't I use this as my little handle. No. What I might do is bring the handle out from behind it. So to make the handle, I'm thinking what I'll do is roll some fabric. I'll use this stripe because that'll put a little black stripe in it. How big of a handle do we want? We'll go bigger. I can always trim it, hey? So what I'm thinking we'd do, a couple ways to strengthen it, is roll it and stitch it, and then stitch it on. And that should give us a little ceramic-like handle. Like so. Another thing I could do is cut a slither of the wadding and wrap this around it. But I'm thinking this will probably do the trick. Because once you start running your stitches through, your running stitch, that'll get quite tight and dense. Just moving that pin so that I can pretend to fold it. Then that gets stitched onto there and there, and now you've got a little loop to hold it. That was clever, Christina, very clever. So that when she goes around the place with her crocheting, she has that little handle to pick up. And I think using that stripy fabric is going to look really cool. You could even bury that in amongst your fabric collaging. So it's not like an add-on, it's sort of hidden in amongst your stitching. Like, you know, so there you go. All right, I think I've got a plan. I've got a few scraps. I'm going to load up my snail because the boys are giving me that, are you going, the food's being delivered, let's stop yapping and hit the road look. I want some lace on it. I know I picked some elements out to decorate her house and she said, oh, that's too shabby chic. So she's not a tizzy, lacy girl. So not too much lace. We need that, we need that. We need something to do top stitch. We need a few more neutral elements of scrap. This is just to sit in the tray for when we're driving. So I'm just going, oh, a bee. A little bee. Might be too big, but we'll see. Put a little bee on the piece. Now, let's have a little look. Let's trim it down a little. That'd be cute, especially if I can make it rectangular. So on the side, a little bee. Yep, like that. There's our needle, so chuck that in. Need some scissors in case I want to rip something. I won't worry with this fabric because it's too blue. She's a more denim-y, greeny blue. Gosh, I'll have to, there's a little scrap, which is good. Put that Rachel fabric in. Now I cut the base for a couple others, didn't I? Where are they? Where did they get to? Oh, they're in there, good. Because I might get time to stitch them up. I did think of this toile. I think it's too blue, and I did grab that. I don't think the surface is big enough to do thread painting. I think I'm going to need to rely on textile elements to get us there. Just looking for a little bit of hemp or, you know, something a bit special. Surely there's a bit of hemp in there somewhere. No, can't see any. Oh, I wonder if there's a yo-yo in her colour. I bet not. I bet not. Nah. Nope. I think the little crocheted flower's enough. I don't think we need a yo-yo. All right, we might leave it at that, I think. All right, guys and girls, I'm going to toddle off. I'm definitely getting the wind up. And, yeah, I should have enough bits and bobs here to stitch onto my little bowl. And I've got 2 more bowls I can prep in anticipation of maybe a 15-year-old that's learning to stitch. 10-year-old, she's not 15, her brother's 15, she's 10. All right, guys. Hope you have a great day. Hope you get some stitching done. And yeah, I'm gonna chuff off. Got to hit the road, and I got my project ready to go. See ya. Bye. Hello everyone. I'm back with an update on the little Marianne Orts bowl. She is finished. I stitched away in the back seat of the car as we drove my brother home, and I'm so pleased with it. Thank you, Christina, for the great idea of putting a little handle on it. That is just such a nice way to, you know, pick up the little bowl. Looks like a scoop. Looks like a measuring scoop. I stitched the little crocheted piece in there. Beautiful. I love it. Absolutely love it. So what I plan to do now is this coming Thursday. So for me, it's Wednesday. Tomorrow, their turf is going down. So I'll be over there every other day, well, every day I'd say, watering turf until Kev arrives on Monday to take over. So I thought I might sneak it in and pop it on her little table next to her chair. So next time she's up, which I think is, oh gosh, I think it's end of July. Yeah, it's a good 8 weeks. Yeah, I think end of July, she said. Kev will be coming and going all the time doing chores, but so I thought I might pop it on her little table. So then when I got home and it was finished, remember I cut out the extra piece of wadding. I made a little bowl to go with all of my Liberty fabrics. I just love it. It'll be great when I'm doing a Liberty inspired project. I've got a little Orts bowl for that. Now, tomorrow being Friday the 25th is actually our Anzac Day. I have the last video of the Just Because quilt series coming up. It's all finished. Quilt is done. I just love it. So you'll see the end of that project. And then Saturday, I have a rice bag series coming again. Remember, I've got these little rice bags that I make that are more of a caddy because they have this structured side to them. There's layers of fabric in there to give these sides. Let me zoom up a little bit. To give them stability, and then the tabs, and then, yeah, some lining, and I use them all the time. So I'm making a Liberty rice bag. Now, I actually filmed the video pre-Ballarat retreat for Susanna, thinking that I would use the video series while I was in America. But the America video series was on every other day. So I ended up getting the 4 videos, pushing them ahead in time, and they start this Saturday. So 4 Saturdays in a row will be a rice bag caddy project using my Liberty fabrics. So I guess if there's any weird stories in there that don't sort of make sense with timelines, that's why. I just thought I'd mention that now, so you'll be thinking I haven't gone a bit loopy in recanting things that you probably already know. I might even say I'm off to Ballarat and then I'm off to America. Well, that's all happened. Anyway, the beauty of having some videos up my sleeve, Now, I just also wanted to mention that you won't see a video from me for a few weeks now because I really want to knuckle down and finish my retreat prep. So the sample and some side things I want to do for the retreat and packing up things and creating things, and oh my goodness, I just want to 100% focus on it. The other task I want to finish is I'm starting to quilt my gosling quilt. I did a little bit over Easter. I've run out of thread, so today I'm actually heading into Spotlight to get some thread to finish the top of the quilt. The underside of the quilt, you know how you have the top, the batting, and then the fabric on the other side? I haven't selected that yet. What I've decided to do is actually do the quilt in 2 phases. The top and the wadding are quilted. Then I'll select the fabric for the back of the quilt and stitch that. So just like my Just Because quilt, I've broken it down into 2 stages. The traditional way is to go needle and thread through the 3 layers. But to, mix it up a little bit and break all the rules, I'm quilting the top first and then looking for something to go onto the bottom. So there may be a video in the next week or so just showing you my progress on the gosling quilt. The still life, I've sort of just shelved that a little bit because I really want to get into this retreat prep. So there you go, that's the latest. So there won't be any little itty bitty projects popping up for a few weeks now because I just get caught up in them. I should have, oh God, I should have done prep for the retreat weeks ago, but instead I'm making bunny bowls and bunting and gallivanting. So I'm just, enough, stop. I think once I've got it done and it's away in a boxes ready to start shipping around the place, I'll feel a lot more, settled. And I've allowed, 3 weeks or so to do it, and I might find it happens within a week and I'll be back. So yeah, just thought I'd mention that if you're wondering where I am. Don't stress. You've got tomorrow's video and then you've got one every Saturday for 4 weeks. Whatever else pops up in the middle there, who knows? Just taking a little bit of pressure off myself. And I want to enjoy the process of prepping for my retreat as well. So, it's nice creating things for others, and I really want to enjoy that. All right, guys, I will see you around. Bye for now.